Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling some really significant news that broke April 29th, 2025. UPS announced major changes right alongside their Q1 earnings. You sent over a stack of great sources and we've, boiled it down.
Yeah, the headline here is pretty stark. UPS plans to cut roughly 20,000 operational jobs globally this year in 2025. And they're also closing 73 facilities just by the end of June. It definitely signals a fundamental shift.
Okay, 20,000 jobs, 73 facilities. Why such drastic steps? What's really driving this?
A lot of it seems heavily tied to their strategy around Amazon, their biggest customer. They're aiming to cut that lower margin parcel volume by over half by mid-2026.
Over half. Why? So this isn't just trimming fat, it's a strategic amputation almost.
You could put it that way. It's a very deliberate move. They want to focus on, what they see as more profitable business that involves modernizing their network. They call it network reconfiguration, kind of building on their network of the future idea and bringing in more automation.
And how do the numbers look amidst all this upheaval, the Q1 earnings?
Well, interestingly, their adjusted EPS for Q1 2025, that's earnings per share excluding some items, it actually beat expectations.
Yeah.
So some resilience there. But, and this is key, they've suspended their full-year guidance.
Suspended guidance. That points to uncertainty, doesn't it?
Exactly. Economic uncertainty, probably amplified by this huge internal shift they're undertaking.
Yeah.
They're targeting big savings, though $3.5 billion for 2025, but it's going to cost them, too, maybe $400 to $600 million just to implement these changes.
So for you listening in, why is this specific news so important to track?
Well, I think it offers a real insight into the pressures in logistics right now. You see the future of work changing with automation and just, the ripple effects when a giant like UPS makes such a big strategic pivot, it reshapes things.
Let's dive deeper into those job cuts. 20,000 operational roles, that's about 4% of their global workforce, right? Where are these happening?
They're described as worldwide, but the reporting really emphasizes the U.S. network, which aligns with the facility closures and that Amazon volume reduction we talked about. These are operational roles, mostly think delivery drivers, package handlers, that kind of thing.
And the facility's 73 closing by June? That feels incredibly fast.
It is fast. And that's just the first wave. It includes leased and owned properties as part of a larger plan aiming for 164 closures total in 2025.
Any sense of where geographically?
Yeah, the report suggests about 2/3 are in the eastern U.S., the rest out west. We even saw some news reports before this announcement mentioning potential impacts in places like Holman, Wisconsin, Portland, Oregon, Charlotte.
Louisville, Kentucky, too, right? And Baltimore, maybe?
Exactly. Places like Hialeah, Florida, Vernon, California, Commerce City, Colorado, Oklahoma City, Windsor, Connecticut, Minneapolis. Pretty widespread. Some seem linked directly to automation rollouts or consolidating into bigger, more modern hubs.
Okay, let's circle back to Amazon. You said they're deliberately reducing that volume. That feels like a gamble.
It is a calculated risk, for sure. Q1 already saw Amazon volume down 16% compared to last year, and UPS expects that decline to get steeper. They're essentially saying this specific type of outbound fulfillment volume isn't profitable enough for us anymore.
And the facility closures are a direct consequence enabling this network reconfiguration.
Precisely. Shutting down older, maybe less efficient sites lets them funnel volume into fewer, larger, and crucially more automated hubs. The goal is a leaner, more cost-effective network overall. They apparently learned quite a bit from closing 11 sites back in 2024 that informed this bigger move.
Automation seems absolutely central here.
Oh, definitely. They're investing heavily. We're talking sorting tech, automated loading and unloading. They're even looking down the road at things like humanoid robots potentially playing a role.
Humanoid robots? Really?
It's mentioned as a future possibility. The immediate focus is reducing reliance on manual labor where possible and making those big consolidated hubs run efficiently. They said about 64% of their volume is already handled in automated hubs. That's up 4.5% year over year.
So the financial targets reflect this push for efficiency. $3.5 billion in savings.
That's the goal for 2025. Q1 did show a little margin improvement in the U.S. domestic segment, about 110 basis points year over year. But overall, revenue dipped slightly. Suspending the full-year guidance really underscores the transition period they're in. Significant change creates uncertainty.
What about the people side? 20,000 jobs lost is a major impact. How's that being received?
It's a huge number. The Teamsters Union, which represents many of these workers, was reportedly aware that automation and these volume shifts could lead to layoffs. So far, at least from what we could find right after the announcement, there wasn't a big public statement from the international leadership.
Hmm.
But you have to imagine there will be friction at the local level, right? Concerns about seniority, workload for remaining staff, that kind of thing.
So boiling it all down, this is UPS fundamentally redirecting its strategy.
That's exactly it. They're clearly signaling a shift towards what they see as higher margin areas. Things like small and medium businesses, SMBs, healthcare logistics. They have a huge target there, $20 billion in revenue by 2026, and B2B markets in general. Less focus on being the go-to carrier for every low-margin e-commerce package.
Okay, so to wrap this deep dive up,
hmm
the key takeaway is that UPS is making massive intertwined changes to its network, its workforce, and its customer focus.
Absolutely. They're resizing deliberately. It's driven by that strategic move away from a huge chunk of Amazon's business and a massive push into automation to boost profitability in other segments.
What's the most maybe fascinating or surprising element for you in all this?
I think it's the sheer scale. The boldness of fundamentally altering that relationship with Amazon, that's a calculated risk.
Yeah.
And also just the speed of automation adoption and logistics. This really highlights that trend.
And for you listening, what's maybe the key thing to keep an eye on going forward?
I'd say watch how this impacts the broader logistics market. Do competitors react? How are service levels affected during this transition? And maybe think about the longer-term future of work in this sector as automation becomes even more prevalent. This deep dive just gives you the snapshot. There's definitely more to come as this strategy plays out.